Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here for our February edition of the Second Sundays series, which actually we started at the beginning of the season in September with two wonderful Chicago Symphony Orchestra artists. And we've carried on this tradition every month, generally on the second Sunday of the month. It's a free concert for the community, and we've enjoyed featuring diverse ensembles, soloists, and many different genres as part of the series. We have a very special concert today as we are celebrating African American History Month, and I will momentarily be letting one of our fine artists explain more about the event, but I just wanted to share a little bit more and do some housekeeping first. For any of our guests here, there are restrooms downstairs, so if you do need to step away during the concert, that is totally fine. Otherwise, again, we're thrilled that you're here. We know that it's a busy time of year here at the church. We're preparing for the Lenten season. We just had a small Mardi Gras celebration, so there's beads and cookies everywhere. And I hear there's some sports event happening today, too. I think it's like a baseball game. I don't know. Go Bears. All right, guys. So let me just share a little bit with you about our fine artists today. So Ariel Andrew is a soprano based here in Chicago. She has recently performed with 3 New York City opera companies, including Bronx Opera. She has performed a plethora of operatic roles, and she has been described as a force of nature sound with natural ease. We're happy to have Ariel with us today. Jade Desha is a Chicago-based soprano as well. We actually share an alma mater for our master's degrees at DePaul University. Jade is, as I mentioned, a talented local artist that has performed with regional opera companies. She was a studio artist last year with Central City Opera, and she is also an encouragement winner with the Metropolitan Opera's National Council auditions here in Illinois. So last but not least, well, actually, no, we have 2 more artists. We also have Benjamin Burney, who is next to me. Benjamin has performed at the Kennedy Center for the debut of Esperanza Spalding's opera, and I actually got to see him in that opera. And he has also performed with many regional opera companies such as Cedar Rapids Opera, Chicago Opera Theater, Folks Operetta, Indianapolis Opera, and many more. And actually, if you'd like to hear all 3 of these great singers again, you can hear them here at Concordia because they sing with us quite often, Ben every Sunday, and the other 2 lovely ladies quite often as well. Or you can hear Florentine Opera's upcoming production of La Boheme. Which month is that, Ben?
That's April.
April. Okay, so in April, and you can get dates from these artists after. I don't think I actually introduced myself. I'm Marisa Buckheit. I'm the music director here. We just have to thank our Benefactor Society for making these concerts possible. As I mentioned, these are free to the community, so if you are interested in supporting us, please speak with me after the concert. And now I will hand the mic over to Benjamin Burney.
Hello, my name is Benjamin Burney, and so for this concert recital series, I want to do something a little different for African American History Month. I'm sure, have any of you seen the movie Hidden Figures at all? Yes? Okay, great movie. And it features 3 black women, I believe in the 1950s and 60s, who worked for NASA, literally creating the rocket science and technology to send man to space, and then later on to the moon and back safely. And I'm not gonna lie, at the end of the movie, I was a little disappointed, not about the movie, but about my own education, because I don't know about you all, but growing up in school, every Black History Month, it was always a little bit about the same civil rights movement and talking about Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, which, don't get me wrong, monumental in the movement, but that's not what all Black history is. And so for this concert, I wanted to do, they say the best way to complain about something is to create your own. So I wanted to talk about the hidden figures in Black history who are a little less known and made some kind of impact, not just on the Black community, but the world in general. And so I asked Jade, Ariel, and myself to pick one person that fit that characteristic and say a little bit about them for you all. And it's okay if you don't know who they are. We didn't know who they were either at the beginning. So that's the whole point of this. And then to accompany talking about each person, we created a repertoire list that would best accent their lives. So going on first is Jade Deshay, and I'd like to welcome her out.
Hi, thanks for coming, welcome. So, I set my musical set around Polly Murray. Some of you might have heard of her, some of you might not have heard of her. I just learned about Polly Murray, I think 3 years ago, a little less than 3 years ago, when I was asked by composer and soprano Patrice Michaels to sing as her character in like a short one act that she was creating. Unfortunately, there are no public recordings of it. It was for an archival recording. But since then, I've thought a lot about Polly Murray, and I'm happy to share a little bit about you. But before I get into her legacy, I just want to share a little bit about her early life. So, Polly Murray was born November 20th, 1910 in Baltimore, Maryland, to Agnes Fitzgerald Murray and William Murray. Unfortunately, her mother died of a cerebral hemorrhage in 1914. And her father suffered from depression exacerbated by the long-term effects of typhoid fever. And eventually, her father was confined to the Crownsville State Hospital, and in 1923, he was murdered by a white guard. So shortly after her mother died, she was sent to live with her aunt Pauline Fitzgerald Dame, who is her namesake, and her grandparents in Durham, North Carolina. So one can imagine how Polly's childhood impacted but also influenced her. So when I read the story, it immediately made me think of the Negro spiritual. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. So that is our first piece. I don't know where to put this. I'm going to put it on the ground. Hopefully that's okay.
Right here.
Oh, that's a long way to go. I'm going to talk again, but I'm going to bring this over.
Sometimes I feel
Thank you. Okay, so who was Polly Murray? What was her legacy? I'm sorry? Right. So let's get into the many titles that the Reverend Dr. Polly Murray held. She was a 20th century human rights activist, legal scholar, feminist, author, poet, Episcopal priest, there's more, labor organizer, and multiracial Black and LGBTQ plus community member, as they were gender fluid. So now folks, scholars are coming out with some more information, like, she even went to doctors and sometimes presented as more masculine and sought medical assistance, which she was denied. But by advocating for gender equality, also racial justice, because they also advocated for folks who were intersectionally oppressed. Murray also laid the foundation for further legal protection of LGBTQ plus communities. And they generally work towards a world of true equity and love for all humans. And so that aspect of Polly's story made me think of the Undine Smith Moore song, Love, Let the Wind Cry, How I Adore Thee. So that's my second piece. Being said, Polly Murray made a lot of headway in a lot of different issues of oppression. So For gender equality, Polly Murray joined Betty Friedman, and they founded the National Organization for Women in 1966. But Polly Murray took a step back from a leading role because she felt that the NOW didn't address the issues of Black and working class women at the time. Polly also fought to end segregation and the elimination of Jim Crow. In fact, Polly refused to sit at the back of the bus, because there were busted seats back there, in 1940 and was arrested. So this was before Rosa Parks, who is equally, obviously, as important, but I feel like a lot of folks don't know that. And in the mid-40s, Polly wrote a paper on how legislators and things should attack the Jim Crow laws. So this was their thesis in grad school, and their professor actually provided that paper to Thurgood Marshall's team, and it was referenced during Chief Justice Warren's delivery of the opinion of the court. Sorry, I'm trying to read what I wrote. There's a lot of information, y'all. I'm only scratching the surface. I'm leaving out a lot of things, but I really wanted to share some of this. It was shared when it was decided that the segregation of educational facilities were declared inherently unequal. And of course, they worked to develop an intersectional approach to our legal system. Polly Murray died. We're going to jump from her birth to her death. Polly Murray died July 1st, 1985, of cancer in Pittsburgh. But even after Polly's death, they continued to trailblaze. So in 2012, Polly was elevated to the status of sainthood by their inclusion in the Book of Holy Women and Holy Men by the General Convention of the Episcopal Church, and that's celebrated on July 1st. And in June 15th of 2020, the Supreme Court ruled workplace discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and gender to be unconstitutional. And the opinion was hinged on the word sex in the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which Polly advocated for the inclusion of that word. So Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg credited Murray in Reed versus Reed in the amicus brief that she wrote, and cited Murray as an honorary co-author, which is amazing. So even though all of these steps were taken and progress was made, the foundation of the society that our ancestors built remains the same. So I, being a Black woman in America, have been discriminated against, and I want to share just a couple things. I had rumors spread about me by an office worker in my college. She was not fired. She was just moved to a different department at my school. I then moved to Chicago for grad school, and I worked lots of serving jobs and things, and have faced sexual harassment. And unfortunately, the folks harassing me were not fired. I had to quit and financially struggle to protect myself. And I'm also a Black, not independently wealthy opera singer, so you can only imagine the things that some donors have said and things that have happened in some of these spaces. But I love singing, so I continue to do it. But that's just to say that the cycles of oppression still continue today. And so I wanted to share the song Reverses by B.E. Boykin. She's a living Black female composer, and the poetry is by Maya Angelou, which you know, she wrote lots of poetry about her experience as a Black woman. And yeah, so the song speaks for itself. How often must we put to head? Mike to us, flake to nuts, cock to elbow. Hip to toe, sole to shoulder. Confront ourselves in our past, in our past. One last thing about that song in particular, it's actually from a song cycle called Moments in Sonder, and all of the poetry is by Maya Angelou, and it's poetry that usually isn't set to music because they're so short, but I love it because we all have these fleeting moments in life, and the whole thing is beautiful, so I encourage you to look that up on YouTube as well. So, what is the takeaway from all of this? We should all recognize the growth we have made as a society, but we should also feel perturbed by how little we have actually progressed. Find compassion for folks who are different than us, and have hope for the future while also acting in ways that encourage the kind of future that we want to grow up in, that we want to see our children grow up and grandchildren grow up, etc. So, with that, I'd like to end my set with Grief by William Grant Still. With pinions trailing
great to see so many people here. My name is Ariel Andrew, and today the person I will be honoring and representing is Phillis Wheatley. Phillis Wheatley is named for being America's first African-American poet. She was born in Africa. The dates aren't exactly able to be found quite yet, but they have narrowed it down to 1753 to 1755. And she was brought here to America around the age of 7 or 8 and became a slave to John and Susanna Wheatley of Boston. We all know the history of slave work. We all know this, but Phillis Wheatley is so influential because she was just so blessed. She was bought by the Wheatleys. They gave her their last name, and they actually took the time to educate her. She never did actual slave work. She went to school. She was taught by these owners, and they actually brought her over to Boston to get published by her first publishers. They decided to represent her, to honor her by being her endowers. After her first book of poetry was published, they freed her. They said, "You are smart, you worked so hard, this is our final gift to you." I would love, before I sing, to read just a poem by Phillis Wheatley. On being bought from Africa to America, 'twas mercy bought me from my pagan land, taught my benighted soul to understand that there is a God, that there is a Savior too. Once I redemption neither sought nor knew, some view our sable race with scornful eye. Their color is a diabolical dye. Remember, Christians, Negroes black as Cain may be refined and join the angelic train. This song cycle is a representation of all women that have been inspired by Miss Phillis Wheatley. So I hope you enjoy.
Let me make my song for the people, songs for the old and the young, songs to sing like a bird to cry wherever they are sung. Let me make the songs for the weak.
Hello? Oh, okay, it's working. So, I don't know if I need to reintroduce myself. Hi, I'm Benjamin Burney. I want to say about 6 years ago, my best friend and I were in Indianapolis going for school, and we were planning a trip to Madison, Wisconsin for my graduate auditions. And it was going to be a simple 2-day trip. Day one, we would drive up to Chicago, Indianapolis to Chicago, about 3-4 hours, spend the night at a friend's house, and then the next day, go the rest of the way. And then after the audition, come all the way back. And it was a simple trip. We really didn't pack too much, 2 days worth of clothes. We had money on us. We would just, anytime we were hungry or needed to go to the restroom, we would just stop and go to any gas station or anything that we needed to do. And very simple, lovely trip, had a great time. Unfortunately, about 60 years ago or more, that would not have been possible, 2 African American men traveling through the country so freely. Back then, we typically would have to fill up our cars, have to have extra cans of gas, so we wouldn't have to stop really at all. Shoebox lunches full of eggs, sandwiches, meats, and things like that, as well as portable toilets, blankets that doubled as partitions for roadside restrooms, spare fuses, and light bulbs in case we had any mechanical problems. Unfortunately, during this time, in the early 1900s, there were thousands of sundown towns, and basically African Americans were not legally they were legally barred from spending the night in these towns. And that's where Victor Hugo Green comes into play. Victor Hugo Green, in the early 1900s, he was a full-time letter carrier in Harlem. 5 days a week, he just, he was the postman. And he was, around in the early 30s, he was inspired by what was called the Jewish Vacation Guide. It was a guidebook published and used by Jewish Americans to navigate safely around the country that was widespread of anti-Semitism. And because Victor Hugo Green was a postman, he knew all the spots in Harlem that were accommodating to African Americans. He knew the restaurants, the hotels, the gas stations, beauty parlors, and you name it all. And so in 1936, he decided to put all of this into a book and publish it. And it was originally called the Negro Motorist Green Book, which I actually have a copy of. Simple, fit in your glove compartment of your car, and you took it everywhere you went. In the following years, he enlisted his fellow postmen to add their information, since they have their own routes, keep adding to the book and make it safe for Black travelers to come to New York. And then eventually it got so popular, it expanded past the New York borders into the rest of the country and actually some parts of Canada and Mexico. And the Green Book was actually later called the Bible of Black Travel. It was so popular and it was such a necessity to travel safely. And it wasn't just a list of places that were safe to go to. It had tips and strategies to travel safely to avoid trouble, as well as get out of trouble. For instance, a traveling family, a chauffeur's hat could be a useful prop with a police officer. Black men would say that the car was their boss's. They were just a chauffeur and a simple servant. The women and children, just taking the boss's help home after a long day of service. It's hard to hear that, but at the same time, these were the life-saving tips that kept people safe. And it was actually, this book, it seems like it would not be accessible to buy, but it actually was across the country. There was actually one company in particular that allowed this to happen. It was called Esso Standard Oil. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it. Today it's called ExxonMobil. And they're still around. At the time, they were the largest company in the world. And they were actually spearheading the concept of having African Americans own their own gas stations, own their own franchises, as well as in their own leadership. And so you can just easily buy this book anywhere you went at an ExxonMobil gas station. So you're probably wondering, Chicago, is it in the book? Yes. Chicago actually has quite a few places in the book, mainly in Bronzeville neighborhood. Anyone I'm not from the area, so I know it's on the south side, but yeah. But yeah, Bronzeville neighborhood, it was so popular, it received a 7-page article from the author himself saying that the places here were monuments to Negro business. It was so widely accepted. And there's actually a few places still around. There's the Drake Hotel that was accommodating, the Field Museum, Wrigley Field, Pilgrim Baptist Church, Shedd Aquarium, Howard Washington Cultural Center, which used to be the Regal Theater, and Savoy Ballroom, and as well as the historic Wabash YMCA, which is still providing housing and job training. Unfortunately, this book did not last too long. It had a 31-year run. In 1967, it did its final publication because the Civil Rights Act was established in 1964, which made discrimination on the basis of race completely illegal. What I love about the Green Book is that in the introduction, at the end of the introduction of every edition, it says, "It will be a great day for us to suspend the publication, for then we can go wherever we please and without embarrassment." So unfortunately, Victor Hugo Green passed away in 1960, 7 years before the end of the book and 4 years before the Civil Rights Act. And he never really truly got to see what his legacy has brought. And I was thinking about his legacy. I mean, what do you do with a book that is completely obsolete, like a phone book? What kind of legacy does that leave? And I thought about it, and every mother, father, child, every single person who came back safely, who used this book, and all their descendants thereafter, is Victor Hugo's legacy because they all came home safely. So, before I tear up a little bit, so I arranged these pieces. There are 5 pieces in total. I arranged them so that they sort of tell the story of a trip from beginning to the very end of getting home safely. Hope you enjoy. I think that I shall never see a billboard lovely as a tree. Indeed, unless the billboards fall, I'll never see a tree at all. Very short piece. When labor is light and the morning is fair, I find it a pleasure beyond a compare to hitch up my nag and go hurrying down and take Kitty May for a ride into town. For bumpity bump goes the wagon, and tra-la-la-la-la are they. They're joy in our song as we travel along in the light of our glorious day. A coach would be fun, but a spring wagon's good. My jeans are a match for Kate's Kingdom Wood. The hills take us up and the vales take us down. But what matters that you're riding to town? For bumpity bump goes the wagon, and tra-la-la-la-la-la are they. There's joy in our song as we travel along you are at church this morning, you're about to hear the same piece. So sit back, enjoy, feel free to take a nap. Let us cheer the weary traveler. Cheer the weary traveler. Let us cheer the weary traveler. Along the heavenly way, oh, let us cheer the weary traveler. Cheer the weary traveler. Let us cheer the weary traveler along the heavenly way. I'll take my gospel trumpet and I'll begin to blow, and if my Savior helps me, I'll go wherever I go. And brothers, if you meet with crosses and trials on the way, just keep your trust in Jesus and don't forget to pray. Let us cheer the weary traveler. Cheer the weary traveler. Let us cheer the weary traveler along the heavenly way. Time to go home. Travel's up. Oh, back in my mother's house, with sheets as white as may, with blankets wove of cordon, and sad
right, guys, let's bring all of our amazing artists back out. We have a special finale here. Yeah, you can clap for them. Bravi, bravi. And guys, in my excitement to announce these artists at the beginning, I totally spaced on introducing our amazing Paul Dykstra, who was... Many of you know him as our choir director and wonderful organist here, but of course he's also such a phenomenal collaborator in like any genre, it seems. So thank you, Paul. Thank you, Benjamin, Jade, Ariel. You guys all sang beautifully. And now you all get to sing. There's an insert inside of your bulletin. We'll all be singing. Ben, can you let us know what we're singing?
Lift every voice.
What is it?
So I wanted to close the concert with like a community sing-along. This is Lift Every Voice and Sing, which is also dubbed the National Black Anthem. So.
All right, there you go.